The storm came down from the violet sky without warning, as most things did on Kepri 9. One moment the air above the pine-shaped CRYTH trees was calm and humming with insects, and the next it split open with sheets of ionized rain and thunder that sounded like the planet itself was tearing apart. I was hauling a crate of sensor parts into my cabin when the first shockwave hit, rattling the metal bones of the structure and knocking me flat on my back. I sealed the door just in time. Blue light flashed through the narrow windows, and the wind screamed like a living thing. I leaned against the wall, heart racing, reminding myself that I'd survived worse storms on worse worlds. Still, Kepri 9 had a way of making a person feel very small. That was when I heard the knock. Not the polite kind. This was heavy, urgent, followed by a series of sharp clicks, signals, not random noise. My hand went to the old plasma cutter hanging by the door. Nobody lived within 50 kilometers of my research outpost. Nobody human anyway. Another knock, then a voice through the storm-filtered comm panel. Shelter. We request shelter. The accent was unfamiliar, the words clipped but precise. I hesitated only a second before disengaging the locks. Out here, refusing shelter during an ion storm was as good as a death sentence. The door slid open, and they spilled in like ghosts dragged from the rain. They were tall, lean, armored in matte black plates etched with silver runes that glowed faintly in the low light. Water streamed off them, pooling on my floor. Their helmets retracted with soft hisses, revealing faces that were unmistakably not human, angular, with iridescent eyes and faint bioluminescent markings along their cheekbones. Huntresses. I recognized the design immediately from old xenology files. The Valori. There were 6 of them. The one in front met my gaze, without flinching. "You are alone," she said. Not a question. "Yeah," I replied. "Just me and a bad habit of living too far from civilization." Her eyes flicked around the cabin, cataloging exits, corners, shadows. "The storm will last several cycles. We will not interfere with your dwelling." "That's depreciated," I said, gesturing awkwardly. "There's space. Dry yourselves. Try not to break anything." A ripple of something like amusement passed through them. They removed their weapons, long, elegant rifles, and stacked them neatly by the wall. That, more than anything, eased my nerves. As the storm raged outside, my cabin became an island. The generator hummed steadily, casting warm light over steel walls and scattered research equipment. The Huntresses removed their armor piece by piece, revealing layered bodysuits and muscles honed by years of relentless training. They moved with the confidence of predators who knew they were never prey. I made tea, one of the few comforts I had left from Earth, and offered it. To my surprise, they accepted. The leader nodded once in thanks, and the others followed her example, sitting or standing in a loose circle around the central heater. "I am Ceres," the leader said. "We track a rogue construct. Storm-forced deviation." "Evan," I replied. "Planetary systems analyst. I mostly track rocks and radiation patterns." Ceres studied me for a long moment. "You are far from your kind. Story of my life." As the hours passed, tension eased. The storm showed no sign of letting up, and conversation, halting at first, slowly deepened. The Valori Huntresses spoke of their order, of ancient vows to keep balance across the spiral arm, of beasts and machines that should never have existed. I told them about Earth, about why I left, about the quiet comfort of isolation. One by one, they listened, eyes reflecting the firelight like distant stars. At some point, I became aware of the way they watched me, not as a threat, but as something novel, curious. When I stood to adjust the generator, one of them, slightly shorter with pale markings along her neck, followed me with her gaze more intently than the others. Later, as the storm reached its peak, the lights flickered and died. The generator coughed once, then fell silent. "Well," I muttered. "That's unfortunate." Before I could move, Saris was already on her feet. 2 huntresses moved to the door, weapons in hand, while another knelt by the generator panel with surprising familiarity. "You know machinery?" I asked. She inclined her head. "We hunt many things." Within minutes, power was restored. As the lights returned, I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. That was when I heard it. A whisper, soft and melodic, spoken in Valori tongue but translated faintly through my comm implant. "I saw him first. Mine." I froze. The voice came from the huntress with the pale markings. She hadn't meant for me to hear it. Her eyes widened slightly when she realized I had. Saris turned slowly. The air in the cabin shifted, thick with something unspoken. "This is not the time," she said calmly. The pale-marked huntress lowered her gaze, but did not retract her words. "The storm binds fate," she replied. "It is known." I cleared my throat, suddenly very aware of how small my cabin felt. "I'm guessing that wasn't about the generator." Saris regarded me carefully. "Among my people, bonds sometimes form under extreme convergence. Survival, proximity, resonance." "That sounds intense," I said. "It is not ownership," Saris added firmly. "Choice is sacred." The pale-marked huntress, Lyra, I later learned, met my eyes again. There was no hunger there, no threat, just certainty, and curiosity that mirrored my own. The storm broke near dawn. The violet sky faded to gray, and the wind softened to a mournful sigh. The Valori prepared to depart, armor sealing once more around graceful forms. Saris paused at the door. "You have shown us shelter and trust. This will not be forgotten." Lyra lingered behind, just for a moment. "Paths cross again," she said quietly. "If they're meant to." Then they were gone, vanishing into the mist like a dream dissolving in daylight. The cabin felt emptier afterward, but not lonely. Weeks passed. I returned to my routines, to charts and data, and the slow rhythm of research. Sometimes, during storms, I found myself listening for a knock that didn't come. Then one night, my sensor screamed. A construct, massive, wrong, tearing through the upper atmosphere. I barely had time to transmit a warning before my systems failed. And then the sky lit up with silver fire. The Valori descended like avenging stars, rifles blazing, movements precise and lethal. I watched from my doorway as they dismantled the construct piece by piece, their coordination flawless. When it was over, Saris approached me once more. "The balance holds." Lyra stood beside her. "You're staying?" I asked, half joking, half hopeful. "For a time," Saris said. "This world has become significant." As the sun rose over Kepri, 9, casting long shadows across the clearing, I realized my cabin was no longer just a place to hide from storms. It was a crossroads. And somewhere between thunder and whispered claims, my quiet life had shifted onto a path I never could have charted, but one I was ready to follow, wherever it led.